Welcome to Sunshine's Food Hall, right? As I said earlier today, I went to the DeKalb Farmers Market here in Atlanta. And when you go to the DeKalb Market, it's like, especially if you've never been, it's just an abundance of choices and options. There's another one here in Atlanta, Buford Highway Farmers Market is the name of it. And with some stuff, they have even more options than the DeKalb Market. But yeah, both of those are really awesome. If you're not in Atlanta, it's always good to maybe, if you have a bigger city near you, to kind of just research and see if there's some markets there. It's usually worth the trip. I don't personally live close to the DeKalb Market, but when you are living a certain lifestyle, then you just have different priorities, right? So I make it a point to usually go make a trip to the DeKalb Market. Probably about once a month I'll go there, and then all the other times I'll usually just end up shopping at whatever's closest, so that maybe Kroger, maybe Publix. What I would love to start to do is to shop more with like directly with local farmers, but I haven't quite started doing that just yet, but I do advise you to do that. Because the closer to home that you can purchase your items, then of course, like the less distance is traveled, the less has to be done to it to preserve it, and it just usually tastes better. The quality is usually a lot better too. So, you know, if I had to rank the, I guess the hierarchy of what's the best, because I get that question a lot, like where do you shop? I would say try to purchase from a local farmer. And you know, that's also a thing too, like for those who are not necessarily in like a bigger city, then maybe that's a great option for you as well. Your local farmer probably wouldn't have stuff like dates, I guess. So some stuff is more widely available at some of the chains or bigger markets and things like that. So I would say local farmer and farmer's market, those are two great options. And if you can't get to one of those, then a lot of times you'll be surprised at what you actually do have access to at just a regular grocery store, but you just wasn't looking for it. So you may have passed by it or not have been aware that it's there. Sometimes even the people who work there don't know some of the stuff is there. So, you know, you kind of usually have to like use Google. Google is your friend, or if you have me as a coach, you can just shoot me a text message, hey Steph, where is this? And I can usually help you out that way. So yeah, let's get to the good stuff, right? I want to see what all I got. What happens in Sunshine's world when she goes to the market. So I'll start with the herbs, right? I know that one of my goals, again, you know, in my perfect world, I would have all of these in my backyard. Haven't quite reached that just yet. It's coming. That's my quinoa timer going off. I'm gonna show y'all some quinoa in a minute too. But yeah, for now, I just purchased these at the market. So this is cilantro, right? You know, you usually use these for cilantro for typically like Mexican or Latin cuisine. It's also really popular. It's used in Caribbean cuisine as well, along with thyme, Caribbean dishes, thyme, cilantro, usually scallions, onions, things like that. Then I have basil. This is my favorite. I absolutely love basil. It smells amazingly fragrant. You know, basil, of course, is pretty popular with Italian dishes and things like that. And I'm mentioning the cuisines because when you're doing plant-based cooking, you know that you can usually convert whatever it was you were eating before, just make the plant-based version. And usually the plant-based version is better. I mean, I'm a little biased, but we tend to usually include more fresh items, you know, than if I were to think about how my spaghetti used to be, for example. Spaghetti used to just be what? A bunch of dead flesh, right? Like ground beef. When I was a little fancier and I thought I was doing something, then I'll get the 90-10 ground beef, organic. It's still rotting flesh. It's still a corpse. But anyway, so I would do that. And then as far as vegetables in my spaghetti, they were pretty much non-existent. But you know, like when you are more plant-based or even just full-on vegan, you can begin to play around more and just include a lot more fresh elements And surely you can do that, I guess, with the non-vegan stuff, but you just usually don't, right? So what do they say? Like, kind of like attracts like, right? So if you're eating things that are dead and don't have a lot of life to them, then you usually don't really think about adding a lot of live foods and fresh foods to your meals. So I love herbs. They're just a quick way to add a lot of really good freshness. If I'm preparing food, for example, for like a meal prep client, one way to really like, or not so much meal prep, because sometimes the herbs, you need them to be kind of freshly cut and put on there. So if I'm preparing something like a meal for someone, you know, whatever, what have you, catering or anything like that, or even if you just around the house, you want to cook something special, herbs will take it up like five notches up. You know, it'll make it more impressive. It'll make it more fragrant and just adds beautiful color to your meal. So I love herbs. I got basil, I got cilantro, I got some fresh chives. These are amazing as well. So those were the three. I usually try to limit myself to getting just 2 of these bundles of herbs. But sometimes, as you can see, I just can't resist. Another thing you can do with herbs too, if you have like a big bush or bundle of them like this and you're a little intimidated, like I'm not gonna go through all that, it's gonna go to waste. This is really good to add to smoothies, especially like green smoothies, and it usually will just add like another element of flavor, especially like basil. Cilantro, you can get pretty creative with that as well in your smoothies. Cilantro and probably arugula would be a nice complementary flavors. So yeah, you can do that. Or you can be like me and just eat them just straight up. Not like I do eat basil by itself. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, so what else we got? We got, of course, just a green pepper, and I got some poblano peppers as well. This is another sunshine secret kind of thing. People be wondering why my food tastes so good and da-da-da. It's because I love to use poblano peppers. Usually even use them in place of just a regular green pepper. They're not very spicy. They do have just like a hint of more of a, like if you're talking about this level of spice, it's probably like, if we on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably about a 2 maybe. So it's not very spicy, but it just adds a nice, nice flavor. All right, then we got our collard greens. Believe it or not, these are collard greens. Aren't they so cute? They're just like little baby versions of them. They're probably like the smaller leaves that are usually in the, you know, closer to the heart of the plant. And speaking of heart, y'all know, my coaching clients, y'all hear me say this all day, all the time, more green. You know, we need more green for our heart. Green items are not only heart healthy, but they're also very cleansing, purifying. So this is just a really easy way to continue detoxing even beyond your 7-day of raw foods. You know, you want to just include more stuff that's not cooked. Now, believe it or not, you can eat collard greens raw. I know that might sound kind of, especially if you're from the South like me, you'd be like, nah, Steph, I'm good on that. But trust me, like I've done food demonstrations, classes where I serve the raw, actually I serve the collard sushi wraps. And so the collard sushi wrap is not fully raw. I have quinoa inside of the wrap, but the collard greens themselves are raw. I've served it during demos, classes. I ask everybody in the room who hasn't had a raw collard green, all hands go up. At the end of the demonstration, who wants another one? All hands go up. Some people got both hands up. So you'll be surprised, you know, just try it out. I will say some stuff, of course, right, it can be more of an acquired taste. So if I was serving that collard wrap to a room full of people who have never had raw collard greens and it was a fully raw wrap, then they may or may not have really liked it as much, you know. But because I did some rice on the inside of it and I cooked the rice sushi style. So that usually will, you know, sometimes when you're serving people who are not plant-based, or even if you yourself just kind of starting out, you may have to do a blend of, you know, some cooked elements, but also make sure you still get plenty of your raw foods in. All right, so we got raw collard greens, and let's see, I asked which one y'all wanted me to demonstrate. So collard greens didn't make the cut, but I just wanted to show you, look how beautiful this is. Isn't this so lovely? Like, it's just like a little, it's like, wrap me, make me a wrap. So I'm not gonna go through the demo, but usually this size makes a better wrap than if I have just that gigantic big, you know, I just usually don't like fooling with the big ones. Maybe they do well, but this one is just usually a little better for me. So I get those. And I got some celery. So, you know, just celery. But this is good for your green smoothies, right? I've got some radish. This is really good for making sushi, raw sushi. It's also a good way to add some variety to your salads. If you just tired of having the same dang salad, and you usually just have tomatoes and cucumbers. I get caught up that way sometimes too. So, you know, add something different. Get you some radish. This is really good for purifying the blood and just cleansing the system. So radish is cool. I got my cabbage, of course. I've got some beets this time, y'all. So what, beets and radish, they cousins? They're related? I don't know. Y'all look that up and let me know. But so they both have the little tail. And they look kind of crazy, right? But I know like sometimes a lot of us are not familiar with how radish, and what is this, beets, how beets look outside of getting a can of them. I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't never had a can of beets. I ain't grew up that way, so we didn't have canned beets growing up. So I don't even know what that life is like, but I can tell you that the fresh version is very interesting to work with, right? So they have such a rich color, and the color will definitely get all over your hands if you're not gloved up or whatnot, or if you just don't know how to handle it. I don't really have to use a glove, but that's because I've been working with them. So that'll be a demo for another day, you know, but I have a beet burger recipe in my cookbook, and I definitely want to demo that for you guys on one of these sessions, but it won't be today. So moving right along, we got carrots, got rainbow carrots. And so another thing that kind of sort of may have moved my price up just a little bit as far as my grocery haul was the fact that all of this is organic. You know, once again, when you first go vegan, you might have some of that like sticker shock, or you might just be hesitant to buy organic. You might not see the point, and so on and so forth. The further on you are into your journey, I'm gonna need you to try to go organic, because the reason why is because the pesticides that are found within the traditionally grown foods can sometimes just kind of, you know, it still will play with your hormones. It still, you know, cause your blood to maybe be a little toxic, just based on the chemicals that are used to spray the foods. Okay, so if you can go organic, definitely that's the way to go. And what I was saying about priorities is sometimes we can shift things, right? As far as, well, once upon a time I made bigger investments in, I don't know, my clothes or my shoes, and now I'm going to move more of that over towards what I'm putting on the inside versus so much focus on the outside. Okay, so I like to try to treat myself like royalty when I go shopping. You know, I want the best, and so that's why also the price point may have been just a little bit higher. I also remember too, someone saying like every time that you go shopping, you're voting with your dollar, right? So if we buy more organic, then I have hope that we may be able to return back to some of those better farming practices that once upon a time existed, because our parents or our grandparents or what have you, or, you know, basically just a few generations ago, they didn't really have to think about organic versus non-organic, but that's where we are right now. So the more that you purchase organic and support local farmers, support the practices that you prefer, you're voting with your dollars, right? So that usually encourages me to try to buy organic. I've got our beautiful, y'all know what this is, y'all know what time it is. I'm gonna have to, Young King, when he get back, he gonna have to sweep. No. So this is some kale. I got two kinds of kale. I think my other kale is in the fridge, y'all. But I got the, it's another kind called dinosaur kale or lacinto kale. It's dark green, and usually the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Well, the darker the green, the more potent the chlorophyll, the more powerful the detox and cleansing capabilities. What else we got? I left off, oh, y'all see I got a gang of bananas over here. I use bananas for my smoothies every day. I just love how they add a sweetness, especially since right now I'm personally not using dates in my smoothies. I think that I was starting to have almost like a little slight reaction to them. So I'm experimenting with that. And you know, that's the other aspect of your lifestyle is like you have to continue to just monitor and be self-aware and see how what it is you're eating impacts you. So I started to kind of notice some stuff, and I just was like, let me just chill out on the dates. So I usually will step it up with extra banana in my smoothies. And yeah, the other thing before I go over to, I'm trying to see how we're doing on time. Show y'all some of the other stuff I got. This is a young Thai coconut. So this is what I was suggesting whenever you're doing your 7-day detox, is to have some coconut water every day. This is the one I love because the inside of this, the flesh is very soft and you can scoop it out. Some people like to eat it like ice cream almost, or you can just scoop it out and use it in your smoothies, and it's just really delicious. This right here is the only thing that really tastes as refreshing as this as far as coconuts is if you're in the Caribbean and you stop by somebody who got a cold coconut on the side of the road, and you take it and they use a big machete and they hack it and then they hand it to you with a straw. That's about the only thing that compares to this. This is so damn good, y'all. It just makes you feel like your cells are just bursting and alive. I just love it. So I treated myself to those. That was also the other thing that caused me to have almost a $200 bill this time around, was because I got a box of these. So 9 of these was $25. So that was a chunk of kind of pushed my bill up a little bit. But it's worth it. So let's go over here. And, okay, so I'm gonna show y'all. I also got some mushrooms. Y'all know what mushrooms are, right? Portobello mushrooms. And I got, I got 3 different kinds of mushrooms, actually 4. Got 4 different kinds of mushrooms on my trip today. This was very intriguing to me. I've heard of this on a show that I used to watch called Chopped on Food Network. But this is called Hen of the Woods. And yeah, I don't know how much you can really see through the package, but it's said to kind of have like a crazy texture. And it almost looks like, it reminds me of the oyster mushrooms. So I also got oyster mushrooms. And if you're not familiar with oyster mushrooms, this is what people use when they're doing something like a replacement for chicken, fried chicken. You can fry these and the texture just be crazy. And you're like, this is so good. I don't even need chicken anymore. So if you're not a fan of mushrooms and you're kind of like, I don't like mushrooms, there are so many different types of mushrooms. I promise you, I used to hate everything that's in here. Basically, I wasn't fooling with none of this stuff. But mushrooms especially, I just thought it was gross. I remember when they used to put mushrooms on like pizza, because of course I was eating a lot of processed food and takeout food. So the only knowledge I had of mushrooms was like them little things they put on your pizza, and it's just disgusting. So this is not that. Okay, you got lots of options, varieties, textures. They're just so different, and they usually would be an excellent meat replacement. And this, I don't know if I even really should show y'all this, because this is a classic example of me just indulging whatever I saw. Like, oh, that looks cool. Let me get that. So what I wish I had done, these are dried porcini mushrooms. If you can see that. They look kind of weird and they smell weirder to me. So we're gonna see what that's like on another episode, but not today. I should have sniffed it. I like to do the sniff test and stuff. I got so much to show y'all, but I gotta chill out, I guess, or just go faster. So let me try that. So this, I wanted to definitely show you guys. These are sun-dried tomatoes, right? Does it probably look like a raisin or something? And it looks totally different from the version that you can get at a lot of grocery stores where they're bright red. These are non-treated, right? They don't have the sulfites and the ingredients, chemicals that usually will make them bright. But yeah, this, y'all, this tastes totally different. And so it's very flavorful. It adds a lot of flavor that you just can't get with those other types of sun-dried tomatoes. So I wanted to show you that. If you are in Atlanta, once again, I got all this stuff from the DeKalb Market. So it's definitely worth checking that out. Here we go. I don't like to really put a lot of focus and emphasis on prices because, again, priorities, right? We value things differently now. And I will also say the DeKalb Market just has some incredible stuff, like this whole container, $2.59 for all of these sun-dried tomatoes, and they go a long way. So yeah, sometimes you just have to get out there and see what's available. All right, so y'all, oh, I gotta show y'all the shrimp, but that's pretty much the bulk of what I got from my food haul. I did get some other things, so don't worry. It wasn't $200 just for this stuff. I got a bunch of other stuff. I had got a bunch of spices from there. Like I got about 3 bags of spices, okay? So I also got this to try. So I would recommend this. I did want to show y'all this. Now, of course, I do have, you know, it's not a competition. You can get more than one kind of seasoning. I do have my own seasoning blend, which is called Chef's Blend. This one is more, this is like a red blend, right? So it's more kind of like paprikas and chili taste and that kind of, but it goes really good on a lot of different things. Like I usually put that on everything. Currently it's out of stock. So that leaves room for me to experiment and try some other stuff. I saw this and I approve of the ingredients that are in there, so I picked it up. And I think you guys should try it out too. It smells like, I want to say almost lemony, but you can definitely smell like the kind of like Italian herbs that are in there. And so that'll be totally different from my blend that I have. It's good to try stuff. Okay, moving right along. Vegan shrimp. Check it out. Vegan shrimp. Looks kind of crazy, right? So this is made from konjac root. And if you Google konjac root, you're going to find that it's a plant, right? And it's the root of the plant that they're using to make this. And that's what the other side of it looks like. Now, I will say, like, the texture, it reminds you. Y'all know how I like to say, don't come for me and say, Steph, it's not shrimp. No, it's not shrimp, but it's pretty a good replacement for it, and it tastes like it's gonna remind you of seafood. More so, even more so than a lot of the other plant-based options that are available. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show y'all some of my technique that I like to do when it comes to making your food really flavorful. Okay, so we're going to, first of all, we'll start heating our pan, our skillet. You know you want to use cast iron skillet, right? That is the preferred thing to cook with. I already have like a little bit of oil in there, so I'm not going to really add any additional oil. But if I did, then I would be using grapeseed oil. For those who are in Atlanta, this is found at the DeKalb Market. This is going to be the, y'all, it blows my mind every time I get this from the DeKalb Market because I'm like, If you go to somewhere like Kroger, they give you like the little grapeseed oil bottle, and it's just probably $20. This whole big old thing, $10. And it lasts a long time. Okay, so we're going to heat our skillet, right? And while that's heating up, I'm going to go ahead and begin preparing some of our, let me try not to be the messiest cook on the planet, which I am a pretty messy cook, self-proclaimed. The kitchen is usually a complete disaster zone. After I'm done. So yeah, so we're gonna just chop up our onion. I usually do this with the other knife, but I just picked up whatever was available. So we're gonna chop that, and we're gonna just add it to our skillet. And it's still kind of heating up, doing this thing. It'll be hot pretty soon. So while that's still heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and chop the poblano pepper. So with peppers, I do suggest and highly recommend and advise that you take all of the seeds out of your peppers. Same thing goes with tomatoes, but they're what you call nightshade vegetables. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, just Google it. But they sometimes can be problematic for people as far as creating like bloating and things like that. So if you just take the seeds out, it'll be less of a chance of that happening. Poblano peppers, the seeds are very easy to remove. It doesn't really have that many in there. So we're going to, I think I want to slice these because like I said, y'all, I'm freestyling. So I think I want to slice these like into strips almost, maybe. Yeah, we'll do that. Maybe I should do the onion that way too. It's okay. We can do whatever we want to. There's no rules with cooking. And if you mess up, then just play it up. Act like you didn't mess up and just keep it going. Trust me, I do it all the time. All right, so we got our peppers cut up. Okay, cool. And we're going to, the skillet I hear is starting to sizzle just a little bit. Uh-oh, we left some onions over here. Y'all love this cutting board. It's amazing. So I'm actually using a cutting board. It's not on the counter. But yeah, I just love things that make life easier in the kitchen. And this is one of them, because what you can do, which I'm not doing at this time, let me show you. What you can do is just kind of take your cutting board and just like easily be like, slide that in there. Let me just put it back on the counter. Life is good. Okay. And then let's see here. So this is starting to kind of cook. All right. So what we're gonna do while that's doing this thing, and I usually will add a little more onion than that, but we'll just leave it like that for now. So what I'm gonna do now is prepare the shrimp. I feel like I want mushrooms too, so I'm gonna do some mushrooms. Now I know some have concerns about, this is said to be plant-based, and it should be. If you would like to just have, or if you don't have access to this, and you just would like something else, mushrooms. You can do pretty much everything I'm about to do. You can do it with mushrooms and still get a good flavor, good texture. Okay, so I'm using my oyster mushrooms and the vegan shrimp. Okay. And I actually do need a little bit of oil on these onions, just a little bit. I can put a whole lot. Oh yeah, baby. There we go. Turn the heat down just a little bit. Make it kind of crazy. Oh, this is smelling amazing already. And distribute that a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna let that cook. And let's go back over to our scrumps. Vegan scrumps. Y'all know somebody who says scrumps? Me. I just said. If I can get the package open, that'll be hot. All right, so I know y'all, this is the moment that y'all was waiting on to see. I'm gonna show you. All right, so this is our amazing vegan shrimp. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? I'm gonna cut one open so you can see it. Look at that, look. Wait, first of all, you gotta see this texture, right? I know you probably can't tell on camera, but look at how, look, you see how it's like not super flimsy? It's like, it's legit, it looks like a legit substitute, right? Amazing, okay. All right, so we're going to put up our oyster mushrooms. So now, oyster mushrooms, right? If you were frying these, then you would just kind of separate like that. We're not frying them tonight, but I just wanted to give y'all that tip. So instead, what we're gonna do is kind of separate them because they're usually in a cluster. And I'm just gonna kind of separate them a little bit, and then after I separate them, I'm gonna chop them. But I want them to look almost shredded, like shredded chicken just or something, I guess. So I'm gonna cut it up into strips, basically. Don't have to be perfect. Just want to get it to where it's like, you know, a decent size. There we go. Ooh, this, I'm gonna eat good, y'all. This is, I wish y'all could eat this with me. Yeah, we'll have to make sure that y'all can cook along next time. Cook along with me because it's not fair. I want y'all to eat it too. One of the things that I love, somebody asked me one time, like, what's my favorite part about cooking? Is serving the food and sharing the food. You know, the cooking part, yeah, you can be creative and it can be fun. But what I love above everything else is eating it and then helping you figure out that it tastes amazing too. So I serve you some. Okay, so we're gonna, y'all see how I chopped that up? So we're just gonna add that in the pan. Now the oyster mushrooms, I want those to cook for a while. So I'm just gonna let those cook. Now that's just personal preference. The cool thing about oyster mushrooms is like the texture is almost like what I remember dark meat chicken to be like. I never was a big fan of dark meat chicken. And likewise, I still don't really like that texture. So when I make the oyster mushrooms like this, I like to let all of that moisture kind of cook out of them. Because that's what makes them taste like that texture, is that it's kind of got a lot of liquid to it. All mushrooms pretty much do. So I usually let them cook down, cook down. Okay, we're gonna add some shrimp to the pan, some of the vegan shrimp. And then here comes the other really fun part. I'm gonna season it for you, flavor it up. Now, once again, the poblano peppers is already gonna add, and the onions too. Ooh, this is about to be real tasty. Yeah, so the mushrooms are already sauteing really nicely. Okay, so now we're gonna add our spices, right? And I ain't even gonna play with y'all and act like that's all the shrimp I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna add more to it. So let's just go ahead because I'm actually cooking for two. So not just cooking for myself. Let me do this right. Yeah, a little bit more. And I like simple, y'all. Again, I just love simple. So I usually would do a lot of stuff all in the same pan. When you have a cast iron skillet, it adds a lot of flavor too because it absorbs like the spices and the oils and the seasonings. And that's what they call like seasoning your pan. So sometimes just the fact that I'm using a cast iron skillet is what really helps set the flavor up. We're gonna add let's see what we're gonna add. Ooh, I could do some tomatoes in this too. That would be hot. I might add some sun-dried tomatoes to it. But I know I'm about to use a little bit of liquid smoke. Liquid smoke is usually something you can use like if you want kind of like a smoky or barbecue kind of flavor, but it also just adds another element of flavor. So I'm gonna add that in there a little bit. A little bit of this goes a long way too, y'all. So probably about it. What I'm gonna add. Now, another secret weapon. Y'all see it even got my name on it. This is not my product though. But Caribbean Sunshine, jerk seasoning. Yeah. This is gonna get you right. Now this is a little bit spicy, but I do want the shrimp to be kind of spicy. And you know, actually I'm gonna let that cook just a little bit longer because you don't want to add the, yeah, let me make sure that it's getting cooked enough. Y'all don't be like me and use a fork. Sometimes I just grab whatever I got closest to me when I'm at home cooking. Y'all be watching this video and be like, why is she using a fork? Because it was right there. All right, so I'm just flipping all of these over and I'm gonna check on my mushrooms right quick. Yeah, so those don't need to cook just a little longer. The shrimp is probably gonna need about another few minutes too. And the peppers, you want to keep an eye on those. Make sure that those guys don't get burnt. Oh, my stomach is growling. I'm hungry. Okay. So while that's cooking just a little bit, before I add the jerk seasoning to it, I'm gonna show y'all what I also made. All right. So quinoa. Got some organic quinoa. And believe it or not, y'all, I actually got this from Target. These stores are starting to step it up. So sometimes you can even find stuff a lot of times now at Walmart or even Target. Like Target had dang old big old organic quinoa. I was shocked. I was shook. So got that. I love, this is not an ad for Instant Pot. However, I gotta put y'all on. One of the best things that ever has happened to me in the kitchen has been this Instant Pot rice cooker. So I add my quinoa obviously in there, and I actually cooked this already so that y'all can see. So what I like to use whenever I'm making quinoa or if I'm making rice or whatever else goes in there, vegetable broth, because this is how you get your flavor, right? We're not doing no bland stuff, ain't got no taste. That's not what plant-based means, okay? So I like to use vegetable broth. I also like to use bouillon cubes if I'm taking a shortcut. If I got time to spare and be creative, then I'll just kind of use some spices and come up with my own stuff, or I'll use my chef blend, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't like being in the kitchen like that, you want to just make sure your food tastes really good, get you some veggie cubes. Okay, you got to make sure you read all the labels. This one is on the front saying vegan and gluten-free. Stephanie will still turn it around and read the ingredients. You can see the list is pretty short there. So yeah, I love these. I usually can find these sometimes at Walmart, definitely Kroger. This one is actually the one I prefer to use. And I get this though from the DeKalb Market. But I wanted to show you guys the other option for those who are not here in Atlanta or just don't have this particular one. This one is called the Organic Gourmet, is the brand, and I just love it. So I'll use those in combination with veggie broth. Then I also hit them with the bay leaf. Okay, I usually, y'all know like these cute little recipes where they say 1 bay leaf. Nah, I put like 4 bay leaves in there minimum. Okay, so you gotta hook it up, put your flavor in there, and you'll be happy to eat it. Otherwise, you'll be like, this is nasty. Why would I eat it? Okay, so here's another trick too. If you're on good behavior, don't do this. If you're not on good behavior, I usually will add sometimes like a little bit of oil in the pot before I turn the Instant Pot on for my rice and also for my quinoa. What it does is it just kind of changes the texture a little bit when it's done cooking, and I like that. So sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. Tonight I didn't do that. And as you can see, one of the great benefits about using an Instant Pot or just a rice cooker, you don't have to try to figure out if it's done. If you can't cook, you ain't gotta worry about it, just turn it on. Yeah, so good. I'm already hungry. Let me check on my little and make sure that the mushrooms don't burn. Now see how this is turning kind of like that? Let me see. Y'all see that, right? That's how I like my mushrooms to be. I like them to be like a little, almost crispy. So we're gonna let them rock for a little while longer. Now the rest of the stuff probably need to come on out of the skillet. So it is time to add the sauce. Now I usually wait to add this jerk sauce because it could potentially smoke, depending on how high you're cooking, like what temperature. And then it just gets to be a problem in the house. You can't hardly really start choking. You don't want that. So just kind of add it like last. And maybe open the windows and turn the fan on. Because it does get kind of crazy. So if you're not using the jerk sauce, another great thing to use, liquid amino. It's gonna make it real tasty. Oh my God, it's really amazing. Oh, yeah, I'm already starting to come. Get in my throat a little bit. Okay, so what you could do alternatively, if you don't want to have that smoke kind of in your throat, you can just kind of toss it in a bowl. I like to make it almost like a marinade sometimes. So I'll just add the jerk seasoning into a bowl, add a little bit of water, not a lot of water, just enough to be able to toss the stuff in. And that works perfectly fine too. And that's actually probably a better idea than doing it this way, because it will get in your throat. So you got that heads up. But look at that, y'all. Put it on the plate. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. The mushrooms, I'm not quite done yet. So what I'm gonna do with the mushrooms, I'm gonna probably add a little bit of water. Just kind of diffuse things a little bit. Yeah, so that helps. Okay. All right, y'all, but that's pretty much what we got going for tonight. I'm just gonna mix this up and plate it. Y'all know how I do. I'm gonna be on the gram or somewhere with this looking exquisite. But yeah, that's a good way to add some Caribbean flavor. Just change it up a little bit. You can serve this with like plantain. I got a plantain recipe in the cookbook. I promise you, you're gonna love it. I've served that in classes as well. Everybody asks me for the recipe afterwards. All the books get sold. So yeah, it's safe to say that it's really good. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of humor on here so y'all can get the visual effect just a little bit. Okay, so it looks amazing. It's gonna taste even better. Wow, I'm ready to eat. Oh my gosh. So yeah, if I had did the onions maybe like in strips, then it would probably, the presentation would be even better. It's gonna taste the same at the end of the day. All right, so that's what we got for tonight. You could also add different flavors. Some people love to cook with garlic. Feel free to add garlic in there. Even a little black pepper if you're not using the jerk sauce though, because the jerk sauce is spicy. Yeah, I'm gonna probably add a few slices of avocado to that. I'm gonna add some fresh greens for sure. And that's the demo, y'all. So thank you. I hope that the shrimp was intriguing and piqued your curiosity, maybe gave you some ideas, because you can pretty much use it just like you would use regular shrimp. Don't act like y'all been plant-based all your life. I know I haven't, so I'm always trying to find different ways to recreate some of the things I used to love, and seafood was one of them. So that's what I got for y'all tonight. We're gonna end here. You can probably flip that little screen that way, maybe. Okay. Anybody have any let's see. How can I get my little thing flip back around? Okay, there we go. Oops. All right, y'all. What y'all think? Y'all hated it? You liked it? We're not on the filming part no more. I mean, I'm gonna edit this part out is what I'm saying. But yeah, y'all can unmute yourselves, tell me good night or ask me something. Yeah, I think we're right at the time part that I wanted to be within. Oh, wait a minute. Y'all had said something in the chat. Let me see. I see you've purchased a lot of fresh herbs and produce. I know you're not eating it all at once. So how do you keep them from being limp and soggy? Yeah, so that's a good question that I did kind of cover on, I believe it was day 1 of our raw detox. But basically, when you take everything out of the plastic, make sure that you, for herbs specifically, you can wrap them in a wet paper towel is what's said to be really good. What I have also done is take a mason jar. Take one of the big mason jars, 32 ounce, fill it with water, maybe about halfway, not all the way, because you don't want it to get the leaves and stuff soggy. But just put it in there and treat it almost like you would like flowers that like you got some roses or something like that. And it will keep the cilantro fresh in your refrigerator. So you can put the, I hope that makes sense, but put the herbs into water in a glass jar. But you would have to change it now. You got to change the water maybe like every other day, ideally. And you could also trim the stem a little bit, just a little bit, and that'll help it to stay fresher longer as well. I've had really good results with that, with cilantro in particular. I haven't really done that with too many of the other herbs though, but you could try it.
I've just about all of mine. And I've also done it with some of my leaf lettuce items as well. Stick them in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really works. As long as you don't let it just stay in there in that same water and think it's gonna stay good.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Clearly I'm ready to eat, so.
You're trying to get rid of it.
Oh, let me see what I said. Onion confetti recipe. Oh my goodness.
It's just a reduced onion, making almost like a caramelized onion, that's all. But it's really good if you eat, if you like your beans and your, not just beans, what am I thinking of? I've got beans on my mind now. But it really does make those dishes taste really good when you can put just a caramelized onion in it. It just cooks down. It cooks down. You just let it cook on a low heat or a medium low heat for a longer period of time with a little bit of apple cider vinegar and a little bit of sugar and a little bit of oil. And it just cooks down into like a caramelized, oh my gosh. And it's just really good. Then you put it in like your beans or your lentils or in your salad. You can put it in anything. It's very good. I love grilled onions.
So yeah. Stephanie, we're gonna let you go, but you eating a raw food, you eating a heavy meal in the evening time, and you're not following your own rules. Because you tell me don't eat, you telling me don't eat late, and you're eating a very big, healthy meal right now.
Let me tell you a few reasons why.
Okay, here we go.
Main reason is because I clearly had to demonstrate something for y'all tonight, right? Second reason is also because depending on if sometimes I'm on what we call my vegan gains journey, right? So for those who want to gain weight, stuff like what I just made, carbs, we kind of need like probably about 3 sources of complex carbs per day. So sometimes depending on how you're structuring your day, you may not be able to fit that in until dinner time. It's best to do that still definitely within, definitely a few hours ahead of bedtime, just because you don't want to put all of that on your digestive system, whether you want to gain weight or lose weight, don't really matter. So usually, yeah, about 8 o'clock, I wouldn't really want to suggest eating, things that we consider kind of heavier a little bit. But you definitely, what is also the third thing I was going to say, what is very important to focus on is making sure you eat a lot of raw foods, regardless of whether you have the carb with it or not. So as I said during the demo, I'm going to also pair this with some raw kale or whatever the other gang of stuff I got on my counter right now. So that helps to also offset it and make it a little easier on your system. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for the question.
It does. It does.
Yeah. I would say probably the main thing is also because of the fact I got to do a demo. So y'all probably going to see me eating stuff that goes against some of that I was advising in the evening for these Thursday calls, because I got to make the stuff. So
I feel you. That's cool.
yeah, I think
We
y'all
gotta
probably
give you a pass this time.
other than just raw food, right? Y'all want to see some cooked stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah, it made me want to get in the kitchen and turn the oven on, or turn on my Instant Pot, because I love my Instant Pot. And by the way, you guys, if you get an Instant Pot, there are actually Instant Pot vegan recipe books that you can get from like Amazon. It's got some very
Where did you get the pot from?
I got
yeah, you can get it just about any place, right?
So is it pretty reasonable?
Yeah, it was like, I'm gonna say $30.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably in the 20s. I can't really remember, but it definitely wasn't over. It wasn't, if it was over 30, it wasn't far from it.
Now mine was more than that, because mine's more than a rice cooker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I paid like 70 or 60 something for mine. And
Where you get yours from, Belinda?
Costco.
Okay.
Yeah, it sautés and does a lot of other things, steams as well, does the rice, and yeah, so.
That's so good, y'all. Well, thank you so much, y'all, for your time, your attention, your energy, your dedication, your devotion, your focus, your wisdom, your sharing. Thank you. I appreciate all the love, sending it right back to y'all. I hope you're having an enjoyable, if you haven't had dinner yet, have an enjoyable dinner. And I'll see y'all next time. And I'll see you within the group.
Have a good one. All right.
Yeah.
Have a
Take
good
care.
evening, Stephanie. Happy birthday, Simone.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Simone.
Thank y'all.
Happy birthday, Simone.
Thank you, Sean.
Happy birthday.
Take weekend too.
Yeah, it usually goes until like the 11th because that's my anniversary. So I just keep it going.
There you go.
Lots of love this weekend. All right.
All right. Good night, y'all.
Good
Good night.
night.
Night.